It looks risky, but it's really about as dangerous as reading a book. One of these planes may crash. They frequently do, even at World Championship level. But no one ever gets hurt because the planes are models. Mostly with wingspans of no more than about 5 feet, and the pilots all stay firmly on the ground. Making and flying radio-controlled model aeroplanes is an ideal hobby for anyone who has the skill of a watchmaker and the patience of a saint. You do need money too. It can cost as much as $250 for the transmitter and $100 for materials for the plane. But the key factor is time. 300 or 400 hours to make a reasonable plane, 600 or 700 to make a champion. And when you've lived through that, you still have to learn how to fly it. This is the transmitter that actually controls the aeroplane when it's in flight. So this, if you like, is the cockpit that never leaves the ground. It works like this. If you want to bank the aeroplane, you use this control. That will alter the ailerons to bank it to the left, that to the right. To dive or climb, you use the same control, backwards or forwards, and that works the elevators on the tail there. And then for a sharp turn, you want the rudder. That's on this side. There we are, rudder turning to left or right. And this same control, push backwards and forwards, also controls the throttle, the amount of power you've got. These magnificent men with, but never in, their flying machines are dedicated to the point of infatuation. It's a hobby where enthusiasm can easily turn into obsession, and enthusiasts can turn into bores. If you meet an aero modeler who says that he puts his family first, you're probably talking to a liar. The wives either join in or they become widows. Every pilot is a repressed Red Baron. They nurse secret dreams of flying their models at 100 miles an hour, upside down, and 5/8 of an inch above the faces of an amazed audience. One of them even told me that it takes guts to fly a model upside down, and he meant it. In this country, they meet a lot of opposition, particularly to the noise their engines make. But in many countries, their sport is officially recognized with all the backing that that implies. For every moment of glory, there's one of despair. There are engines that start well and engines that don't. And don't. There are planes that take off gracefully. And planes that don't. There are flights that go beautifully, and flights that don't.
Oh no! What? Well, what can you say?
When all that work can be wasted in a few seconds, why do they do it?
It's the challenge of doing it without crashing. You know, if it was easy, so that you knew that you could build a model and fly it forever without ever crashing it, there would be no real challenge to do it, would there?
For him, it's back to the attic to start building a new one. And in the World Championships, the building counts for as much as the flying. The scale is small, but the detail is exact. This Percival Proctor is one of the 3 British planes in the championships. It wasn't made from a kit. That would have been too easy. This is another of the British team, a Hawk Speed 6. Inside, it all works with eerie precision. And this is the third of the team, the Sirocco, the only model ever to score 100% marks for accurate detail. It took 7 months to build. there were 30 remakes just to get the wheels exactly right. Making some parts of it meant hours at the kitchen stove with pans full of hot oil and slivers of perspex. The men who made these planes and will be flying them are Terry Melanie, who built and pilots the Speed 6, Roy Yates with the Proctor, and Mick Charles with the Sirocco. Up to now, these three have swept the board in international competition, and they're odds-on favourites to win the new championship of the world. How do you actually feel when you get onto the field with this plane that you've spent hundreds of hours building?
Very, very jittery. Your knees shake, your heart pounds, until perhaps you're getting towards the end of your flight and you've got a little more used to it, because obviously these models you don't fly every day, you keep them for competitions and just fly them for a competition, so you never really get used to them. But after a couple of flights you begin to get, you know, used to it, and it becomes a pleasure then. But the heart pounding's there and the knee shaking's there all the while.
What's the most difficult manoeuvre you're likely to attempt?
Well, this could vary from model to model, obviously, but with my own model, it's the Proctor, Percival Proctor, the spin undoubtedly is the most difficult manoeuvre, because the full-size aircraft was very difficult to spin, and it doesn't like coming out of a spin, as I well found out at a meeting last year down at Westlands.
In actual fact, the greatest kick I get is out of doing a good flight and a perfect landing. And I in actual fact, at our club field, I prefer to take off, do a circuit and a landing, and try to perfect my landings as nice as I can get them. It has become an obsession in my case, I think, yes, because I've even put this modelling before my work.
Really?
Oh, yes. I shouldn't admit this, but I'm afraid this does happen.
You must have a very long-suffering wife.
Well, in actual fact, I've got a very understanding wife, but some of the modellers, they do have trouble. One of the entrants in this year's Nationals, we've heard he's had to give it up because of wife problems, and I can understand this because there's so much time is spent modelling and flying that the wives are left in the background if they're not interested.
Must be one of the worst hobbies going from that point of view.
I should imagine so, yes, because not only have you got the building of the model, which is time-consuming, you've got the flying as well. So if the weather's bad, you're building. If the weather's fine, you're out flying.
One thing you're not is being husband and father of a family.
Well, you have to sort of fit that in when you can. Obviously, you take your children out flying if you can, and you take your wife if she's interested. As I say, I'm one of the lucky ones.